Welcome to this presentation on natural law and consciousness. We're looking at methods of mind control. Today we're looking at the 10th method, which is creating the illusion of time. Now, time is an illusion because it's not based on anything real. It's not based on anything real because it's fruitless to focus our attention on the past, things that have happened. These things are completely gone and cannot be changed. The same as focusing on the future. These things haven't happened yet. It means dwelling in a state of anxiety over what may happen. This is equally pointless because the future has not yet arrived. The power lies only in the present moment. Time is a spiritual currency, and it's how we spend our time. Therefore, time is a form of currency because we get something back from what we spend our time in, the quality of our time that we use to pay attention to. There are many great philosophers of the past who understood time, Gurdjieff being one of them. He said, "I am." This signifies a moment of genuine self-awareness. It is a declaration of presence, a recognition that one's existence in the here and now. This level of consciousness transforms ordinary experience into something real and meaningful. Marcus Aurelius, another great philosopher, said, "No man loses any other life than which he now lives, nor lives any others than this which he loses. The longest and the shortest are brought to the same, for the present is the same to all, though which perishes is not the same. So that is which is lost appears to be a mere moment. For a man cannot lose either the past or the future. For what a man has not, no one can take this from him." Marcus Aurelius is talking about present moment awareness, that neither the past nor the future exist. Therefore they cannot be given or taken. Now, the technique of confusing people about time is to create illusions based on the circular movements of astronomical objects defining time. The Earth rotates around its own axis, which is a day. And that's a physical movement that we measure. A month is based on the moon circling around the Earth. And we base our year on the Earth and the moon circling the sun. That's another cyclical physical movement. Now, why do we base our measurement of time based on these physical movements? And what does that do to our psychology, our perceptions? Physical movements begin to paint the picture within the mind that these movements have always been. This is the way it is, now and forever. There is a sense of eternity or unchangingness. However, it starts to put the idea in people's minds that change is impossible. There's just continuous cycles. And it's the perception of these cycles that they go on and on forever in one direction, not starting in the past, but proceeding through the present to the future. So what does this time-bound thinking cause in us? This misperception of time as cycles is ultimately where the trap gets created. Time-bound awareness is materialistic. It's material-based awareness because we base our views on these movements of time upon endlessly repeating physical movements. We think of endless looping, repeating cycles. the earth going around in circles, the moon going around in a circle, and it keeps going on with the sun going around, earth going around the sun going around the solar system, the center of the galaxy, etc., etc. So basing our consciousness on these physical movements is materialistic thinking. It tricks the mind into falling into a pattern of thinking of cycles. And when you break down the perceptions of time and understand this is how people based their systems of thinking, then you understand that this has a really powerful hold on the psyche, on our conception of time over the human psyche. So the way that we perceive time is reflected in the language that we use, phrases. For example, time is money, which equates time to wealth. People say, I don't have enough time. And this makes time a quantity, not a quality. People say, well, there's just never enough time. And this is scarcity-based thinking. And the more our lives become hectic and linear modes of thought and consciousness, the more it seems that there's less and less time to do things. This gives us the perception that time is speeding up somehow. Now, as we've mentioned, time is divided into these nested cycles, one nested into another, patterns repeating endlessly. Nested cycles perpetuates a person's subconscious. It paints the picture in the mind of the earth, of our reality being an endless set of Russian dolls, one nested inside another, which is really a prison that you cannot escape from. These cycles keep going and going in a linear cycle. Endless progression paints the picture of hopelessness in most people's minds. The inability to change people gives a sense of futility, and with the inability to see through this linear way of perceiving that we call time, we get stuck. Probably a more accurate way of viewing time is to understand its fractal nature. Now, once you strip away the exoteric cover story, you find something deeper beneath that relates to the self and consciousness. There is a distinction between the exoteric, which is the outside cover story, and the esoteric, which is reserved for the initiates. These people keep the truth from others, and they give this exoteric story to the multitudes, those that do not understand occult symbolism. Now, when we look at time, we must understand that time is, in our modern world, is based on these physical cycles. The earth rotates once upon its day upon its axis, which is a physical movement, and then we base the month based on the moon and its movements. The nature of time, however, is fractal. And this is the same way that the universe is fractal, but in a broader sense. There are specific nested cycles in the gradations of time, and this nesting is manipulated to generate specific conditions in the human psyche. Astrotheology. Astro means star, and theos means God. This is a study of the movements of astronomical bodies, the so-called gods, and basing predictions upon them, upon the movements and the position of these astronomical bodies. Astrotheology is the basis of a belief system rooted in the story about the gods of the sky. The three great religions of the world, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, are rooted in astrotheology. They've been called the desert sky god religions. These religions were developed out of the ancient world, out of the ancient cults, astrotheological cults of the sun, the solar cult, the lunar cult, and the cult of the stars and lesser lights. The two great lights of the heavens are the sun and the moon. The pinpoints of lights are the planets and the stars. The lesser and greater lights are given to different religions, and these are given a different gradation of timekeeping. The planet Mercury is closest to the Sun, and therefore has the fastest orbit, 79 days. Mercury is given to the seconds hand of a clock. It's considered the second object in the solar system, the Sun being the primary object. Therefore, Mercury is the seconds hand of the clock. Mercury has the fastest orbit, and in Greek and Roman mythology, Mercury, or Hermes, was considered to be the messenger of the gods, the bringer of light, life, and energy, the embodiment of God in the solar system. The second hand is pointed on the clock. It's centered in the middle. The point in the middle, if we look, the center point would denote the sun, which is the symbol of a circle and a dot. That's an ancient symbol of the sun. And it's an archetypal symbol and has ancestral memory embedded in our subconscious minds. Now, we may not be aware of these symbolisms on a conscious level, but our subconscious recognizes them. The moon is given to the minute hand of the clock. The moon is a goddess. In Phoenician traditions, the moon was associated with the feminine goddess Astarte, with the crescent moon on her head. In Greek tradition, the moon was associated with the goddess Diana, and she was also depicted with the crescent moon above her head. Mary, in the Catholic tradition, is depicted standing on the moon. The goddess has always been feminine, a yin energy, a lunar presence. The sun is given to the hour hand of a clock. It's considered a male yang presence, masculine energy. The hour hand is named after Horus. Horus and hours is an anagram of the sun god. The word horizon refers to the sun coming up on the Horus zone. A day is given to the earth. Each day is one spin of the earth around its axis. We face the sun, and then we turn away from the sun, and then return, which is one day. We have 7 days in our modern system of timekeeping, and each day is given to a different planet. The day is reserved for the earth. Monday is moon day, in Spanish lunes, meaning moon. A Tuesday may not be recognizable in English, but it's easy to understand in French. Tuesday in French is mardi, as in Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday. The word mardi is Mars. Mars is the god of war. 9/11/2001 occurred on Tuesday because they were invoking the spirit of war. Wednesday in French is mercredi, or Mercury. Thursday is Thor's Day. The Norse god Thor is associated with the planet Jupiter and is named by the Romans. Freya, or Friday, is one of the gods named in Norse tradition. Freya is a feminine deity. There are 2 feminine days of the week: Monday, named after the moon, and Friday, named after Venus. Friday is French and it's named Vendredi, the planet Venus. Saturday is Saturn's day, and Sunday is the Sabbath. The Saviour, the sun, dies and rises. The sun dies and rises again to bring a new week to the world, new life to the world. The symbol of Christianity is a zodiacal cross. This represents the sun on the cross of the zodiac. Christianity is a solar religion based on astrotheology. The sun symbolically placed in the middle, with the 12 houses, the 12 helpers of the sun, who are also the 12 disciples of Jesus, around the outside. A month we measure by the illuminations of the moon. Add th on the end of moon and we get month or month. The year. The year is based on the revolution of the earth around the sun, and this is given to solar cult religions. Now the great year is an astronomical clock, and it's a precession of the equinoxes. This is a powerful metaphor for various aspects of consciousness, and it is the real meaning and power behind astrotheology. The great year, or the Platonic year, as Plato named it, is the precession of the equinoxes. The precession is due to the Earth's 23.5 degree tilt upon its axis with regard to the Sun. However, the tilt is not what causes the precession. It's from the point of view of the Earth's pole beginning to point towards a different location in the heavens and slowly making a wobble. There is a frame of reference at work that makes the Earth axis slowly drift in a counterclockwise circle, counterclockwise with regard to the zodiac. The northern pole of the Earth points to a star called the pole star, Polaris. The pole star changes over a vast amount of time, approximately 25,000 years. The northern axis of rotation that we observe is making this rotational spin, making one complete circle return to the same star it began with, and this takes approximately 25,000 years. That's called the precession of the equinoxes, the slow movements proceeding from one equinox to another, changing position relative to the constellations. The change in the constellations, each constellation takes just over 2100 years, moving backwards as it moves through the zodiacal houses. Now there are 12 constellations in the zodiac: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius and Pisces. These ages relate to the precession of the equinoxes from the constellations. They form a system of timekeeping called the Great or the Platonic Year. The cycle of the sun as it rises in the equinox and the spring equinoxes of each of these houses. If you look at the rising sun on the horizon at the dawn of the equinox, the constellation that is directly behind it is said to be the constellation that we're in, the sign that we're in. The sun currently is ruling in the house of Pisces. If you observe the sun as it rises on the equinox, it will be coming up in the house of Pisces at the equinox. But in 100 years or so, if we looked at the sun upon the rising equinox, we would see it coming up in the house of Aquarius. In another 2150 years later, we would see it coming up in the house of Capricorn in the same equinox. And if you put all of these together, in other words multiplied by 12, we will get just over 25,200 years. So let's look at the word entrainment. And I think this is the key to understanding our materialistic thought and how it's connected to our understanding of time measurement. The saying that time is money creates something within our mind that seems materialistic. Materialism is a false proxy. It's a proxy for balance. It's a proxy for imagination, for harmony, our connection with nature. Now, fiat currency is also a proxy. It's in place of something that's real. And placing our materialistic thoughts on the movements of these astronomical objects creates a consciousness that's more materialistic. And this works whether we understand that or not. We're being entrained to something. The word entrain contains the word train, and a train goes from one place to another. The word ment in train means mind in Latin, so training the mind in one direction. Therefore, entrainment means getting to the mind to follow along, setting up a system of leaders and followers. So time can be used as a tool for corruption. Time is an underestimated tool of corruption because it's that only way that some people are making sense of the world. However, time is abstract. Time's based on symbolic thinking, and time is an illusion. There is no such thing as money. Money and time are constructs. They do not exist except in the mind. So we need to break through these linear patterns of thinking, these endlessly repeating cycles. We need to break the psychological hold that time has over us, thinking outside of time-bound awareness. There is only one moment, and that is now. The future hasn't arrived. We exist in the now. So a decisive shift in awareness occurs if we bring our focal point of observation into the present moment. Eckhart Tolle had the correct concept of this true present moment awareness and how we need to bring ourselves into the now. Understand that time-bound awareness sets us up for all other forms of manipulation. Now, Ram Dass also discusses this in his book, Here, Be Here, Now. So let's look at the main concept of time. The precession of the equinoxes becomes essential when we look at different timekeeping traditions. They base their ages on large units of time, the great years. The Maya based their culture on the precession of the equinoxes and stated that we're currently in a transformative time. Now, one of these great years represents a complete transformation of some kind. The Maya considered time moving through ages of elements: fire, air, water, earth, and ether. These are spiritual cycles, and when you put the 5 together, you have a Platonic year. Now, Terence McKenna produced this concept that he called time wave zero. And he equated that with the Mayan calendar, which is a map of the movement of consciousness through time. The Maya people were obsessed with time because they were in tune with time wave zero, the now time, the present moment. The Mayan shamans had a deeper understanding of time than we do. They understood time not as perpetual cycles, but not of the physical movements of objects, but a progression through consciousness and evolution in consciousness. They understood that time was moving towards something ineffable, something intangible, a paradigm shift, a shift of the ages, and a change in how humans think and interact. So we're still in this traditional phase of the paradigm shift. And this will move us up to a high level of awareness and consciousness. The American comedian Bill Hicks had an understanding of time. He said, "All matter is energy condensed to a slow vibration. We are one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we are the imagination of ourselves." Bill Hicks. What does it mean to be stuck in the past? Since there is only the present moment, the now in which we operate, the past is gone, and there's no point in dwelling in the past. Therefore, we need to educate ourselves. History is critical. It's essential to understanding the patterns and how they repeat. Still, the trap of living in the past is dangerous. It's a method of mind control, and many people get stuck in it. People cannot let go of events that happened in the past. They cling to things that happen that they can do nothing to change. Sometimes it defines them as a person. But being stuck in the past taints the present moment. It steals from us. It takes away the power of the present moment. Now, being stuck in the future is equally pointless. Projecting into the future is a powerful ability. Sometimes useful to be able to look at trends based on things that are happening in the present. But to get stuck in this future awareness can be very dangerous, because this over-focus on the future leads to anxiety rather than living in the present. Present moment is all there is, and it is the solution. So let's talk about time as a currency. Time is a currency of spirit. Spirit is the real form of money. It's an abstract idea that time is something that we pay for or spend. But there are two forms of spiritual currency, one being time and the other one being paying attention. We say that we spend our time to do something. We pay attention to do different things. Depending on how we use that currency, we receive different results for that spending. How we spend our time will give us specific results, manifestations in our reality. This makes time one of the most crucial aspects of our lives. What do we spend our time on? Do we spend it in frivolous activities, self-absorbed things? Do we spend it pursuing fake money, trying to amass material possessions? Do we spend it trying to gain influence, or trying to accumulate power? Do we spend it trying to educate ourselves about what's happening within us and around us? Because we will get two different results based on how we spend our time. Time is a spiritual currency. Now, if we focus on materialism rather than educating ourselves regarding our psyche and consciousness, then we'll get different things in our lives that will be uncomfortable. On the other hand, if we educate ourselves in actual morality, in values, in truth and pursuit of things that are ineffable, truth of the spirit, then our lives will flow more effortlessly. We will suffer less. Currently, we're drowning in self-imposed suffering because of how people spend their time. Look at what people are watching and pay attention to. What are they listening to? Listen to the type of conversations that people have with each other. These conversations are often of no consequence. Things that are true we must pay attention to. To come to the level of discernment about what is essential, we should be spending our time pursuing things and doing things in the world. True care. If we do not do that, we'll continue to suffer. We'll continue to get results that we do not want. So thanks for watching this presentation on the illusion of time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And join us in our next presentation. We will be looking at another mind control mechanism. That is, mechanisms for creating apathy in people, which are the denial of truth, creating the hassle of taking proper action, and creating fear of ridicule. Please like and subscribe.